Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys checking today's video out. We got a good summer video for y'all today. We're going to be talking about capitalizing on a mayfly hatch, which is very common in the month of July and August, pretty much all over the country. I mean, I've caught them good on the mayfly hatch everywhere from Lake St. Clair up in Michigan, all the way across my part of the country down south. A lot of mayflies hatch this time of year, and it's a really good way to catch bass in a really specific situation. So I'm going to sort of give you guys some tips and advice on how to catch them, what to look for, and all that type of stuff. Real quick, guys, just want to remind everybody out there, if you're interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, all you have to do is shoot me a message on my Facebook page, Randy Blockett, Professional Angler. Just shoot me a private message. And also, please check out our View Products shopping tab. When the video comes on the bottom, you'll see things says View Products, and that's some merchandise that I offered, t-shirts and cups and stuff like that. Much appreciated. Okay, guys, if you all have bass fished much, you have seen what I'm talking about, mayfly hatching. Normally, a lot of it happens June, July, and August is the prime months for it. And the areas that it happens, it really depends on the geographical area that you're in as far as how this sets up. Because let's say, for example, if you're fishing on Lake St. Clair up in Michigan, which I've caught a ton of fish in the summertime on a mayfly hatch up there, you'll have just mayflies, they just come out of nowhere in open air, and they land on the water, and they're all over the water there. But more not specifically on most man-made lakes, these mayflies, they hatch out on tree limbs that overhang the water. My favorite is some type of a willow tree, something like that. And then they hatch out on the trees here, and some of them fall in the water, some of them fly around. So they only live like a day, and then they die and they fall in the water. And what happens, all type of fish eat these things when they fall in the water. If you are around a prime mayfly hatch area, and I actually did a video on this about a year and a half ago, so I'm sort of redoing this because a lot of people joined the channel since then. But what happens if you're fishing down the bank and you see these mayflies flying around, pay close attention to the nearby trees, because when you're in an area where there's mayflies flying around, normally they are hatching out on trees along that bank, and you can go along the bank and you can shake those trees and they just come everywhere, and it literally causes a feeding frenzy for the fish. Bluegills will hit them, bass will bite them just by themselves. Bass will come to the area to feed on the bluegill that are feeding on the mayfly hatches. It's a really unique situation that does not last very long. So anyway, when you see this, to me, the best way to catch them is a popper. I like this Megabass Pop Max, and I'll put that Baitworks link in the description to the Pop Max if you guys want to try one. But guys, a popper, any type of a chugger like this, I think is the #1 bait to catch them on mayflies. And all you have to do is simple. You see mayflies flying around, you see some overhanging shade from a tree, you see occasional little pop on the surface, the bluegills eating them, just throw that popper right in that area and just sort of work it slow through there. And if there's a bass in that area, they will hammer that popper. Another bait that works really good in that, a little bit more subtle presentation, is just a wacky rig. Just a wacky rig, soft plastic stick bait, fished in that shade. It's gonna be really good with it. But the main thing, it's sort of like a shad spawn deal. It's like when somebody says, well, I'm on this mayfly hatch pattern, or I'm on the shad spawn pattern. Yeah, that's fine and dandy, but what am I gonna do? Just put the boat in and start fishing and see shad spawning and mayflies hatching? This is a situation where you can't really go hunting for this pattern. You sort of come upon it just by random chance. You don't really know whether it's gonna happen at, you don't really know what part of the lake it's gonna be happening, if it's going to be in a creek arm or a cove or whatever. But most of the time, one of the signs is if you see some mayflies hatching, that means it's going on pretty much all around the lake there, and you can literally run that pattern. And a lot of times what I do is I like to focus on creek arms. I'll get into just a creek arm, and I'll just start idling along the bank, and I'll try to target the bank that has a little bit more shade on it. And I'll just pay close attention. I'll just idle along the bank, and I'll look up there in the trees and see if I see any mayflies hatching or mayflies flying around, and then start fishing. But I can tell you right now, there's been a lot of tournaments. Guys have won tournaments, or they've been it's been responsible for part of their winning bag is getting on this mayfly hatch in the summer. I remember one guy, I can't remember what tournament it was. We were fishing it was a FLW summer tournament on Lake Pickwick, and one of the guys in the tournament locked through into Lake into Lake Wilson, and finished really high in the tournament doing nothing but fishing the mayfly pattern in the summer there. So it's a fun way to catch them, man, because like I said, it's mainly topwater. You can really capitalize on topwater, and it's something that only lasts for a couple months in the summer. So anyway, guys, just keep an eye out for it. Pay attention. Again, get you some poppers. I'll put, again, the PopMax link in the description. It's probably the best way to catch them when you see one. And good luck out there. Thanks for tuning in.